was like, that was the easiest, but even easier than working with guys, so. You're a pro, thank you for this, it's wonderful, thank you.
We do have copies that the church bought if you want them. They're $17. I'm not talking, you can write a check if that's what you're taking, you're glad to do Mickey. This is the first of five weeks in Lent. And so I'll be here. Guy asked, he said, we'll do this together. And then he probably said, oh, well, I'm not gonna be here for 3 of them. Hi, Guy. But Guy will be here next week with me. And then he's gonna be gone the first 2 weeks in March. So I was talking to a friend of mine, Julia Tanner, who's he's a member of the Disciples Church, Woodmont. Is that it? Woodmont Disciples?
Woodmont Christian.
Woodmont Christian.
Yeah.
And she's a cellist, and she's actually a retired assistant principal cellist with the Nashville Symphony. And she said, I've done some work with songs. And I said, really? She said, yeah. What if I work on something? I said, oh, this would be wonderful. So those first 2 weeks in March, I sent her some hymns from our hymn book for the 2 songs for week 3 and 4. And she is composed some original pieces. She's bringing the cello and meeting next week. I don't know her recording, but I understand she's really.
Tell her to bring Sarah Hutton, and it's also there at Woodmont Christian. She was the assistant organist and plays the violin.
I'll play the violin.
Tell her to bring Sarah with her, 'cause I've heard them together at Woodmont Christian years ago.
Well, I think those 2 weeks are gonna be, this is gonna be probably more verbal and word oriented. And those 2 weeks are gonna be much more fluid and organic would be the way I would describe it, between working with the song and hearing a piece of music, and then, thinking about how music speaks to us. The songs are enjoy. So I'm really excited about those 2 weeks, and then we'll finish up with the last week. And I'll be back to that. So, welcome, and maybe a little bit of introduction about the book. Every author needs to find a niche, and Westminster John Knox, our professor, was the Presbyterian Publishing Corporation. Does a lot of books for seasons, for Advent and Lent, and I think we've used some of those here before. I find them really good. Also, I really love my 2 good Methodist friends are here, John and Margaret, and I love Abington Press, and I love the studies they do with Angel Dean. I think those are really good. We do some of those here too. But I was trying to find a niche into a season, and Advent had barely done so many different ways, and I thought, well, maybe I'll try something with Lent. And then you look at what's been done, because when you go for Caldwell, they want to know, well, what's out there. How is your book different from what's already out there? So you've got to find the rationale. And I thought about one year when I was trying to find my way through Lent and practice that I wanted to do. And I started trying to read all 4 readings every day. If you follow a daily lectionary, there are 4 readings. You get the Old Testament, you get the Psalm, you get the New Testament, you get the Gospel, you get the letter, and it's just funny. Now, I thought today, but I can't do this. I can't do anymore. So what's left? And then I had this wonderful picture book that Martin Marty, wonderful theologian, historian, had written with pictures and photographs. And I thought, that's really what I want to do, is focus on the image and also read a psalm. So that nurtured my soul that year. And the other thing about Psalms is that, that we really hear them preach. Have you ever done a series on Psalms?
I used to do a lot of psalm preaching,
Really?
but since we do the Psalter so much,
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah, oftentimes we'll get, and here at Westminster, we do it sometimes responsibly with the cantor, and which I love, and there's so many different ways to sing the Psalms, either as a hymn in the hymn book or that way. And sometimes we get snippets of them, and we don't get all of them, and they're in some appointed for every Sunday. So I decided to work with Psalms, and I pitch Psalms that are used and not in just, we're in year B, which is the possible reading of Mark. But I went and looked at all 3 years and just looked at some Psalms. The other thing I try to do is that, a Psalm with a particular theme that emerges out of the Psalm itself. So today, we're going to be, looking at Psalm, from and this, my teaching is only works if you interact with me and you talk to me and I'm just not a lecturer, so other people do that well, I don't, but, so when I ask a question, I love to somebody I can answer. But paths, and it makes me think about, the path through Lent, and do any of you have, or do any of you grow up with practices that you took up? I mean, we talk about taking up or giving up. Busted Halo is one of the Catholic YouTube video of the Catholic organization, Lent in 2 minutes. And it's Lent in 2 minutes by Busted Halo. You look it up, it's right. And it explains, and it is Catholic, remember when you watch it, but it does talk about giving up and taking up 2 things. It used to be that we were taught to give up something, and my grandmother said, I'm gonna give up 2% because I don't want to do it. And she wasn't the best. But she came with the so do you have practices, or do you do anything now that helps you move 5 weeks of that?
I think this year has really put an emphasis on doing something that maybe taking that up during Lent.
Came from, Devin Childers was in a hands-on mission, and Jackie was there, and he just came and he said, instead of giving up something, we did a mission or ministry,
Yeah,
or, to me, it's simple as prayer or reading the scriptures or something that would add faith into your day-to-day.
Yeah.
I can remember as a child, we all, in my church at home, we went to service on Wednesdays. And I promised myself I was gonna get through every Wednesday, and I never made it. Or something always happened, and I just couldn't make it.
Never made it, so.
I made a lot of them, but I didn't make every
Is
one.
your practices fun?
No.
Are you thinking you're here tonight, but you might not be here?
I'm trying to be here most of the week, how's that?
Yeah. I know that Southern Presbyterian's doing, we're doing a, 11 midday every Wednesday. I'd like to come. So Southern Presbyterian's doing it at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Anyone else grow up doing a practice?
Oh, I grew up Baptist until I was in high school. My mother really was not fond of the Baptist, and she would either bring me here to church when I was growing up, or other denominations that were more traditional. And so consequently, I didn't get all the Lent and all that. And John, my husband, who you just met, he grew up Catholic. And for him, Lent was no meat on Friday, the Stations of the Cross on Fridays,
So very,
and very traditional. I don't know about giving up anything, except to go to church or whatever they had to do. Never heard, he's never mentioned any penitence. Now, my family in Louisiana that were Catholic, they were pretty strict. I remember one cousin, we were down there, and in New Orleans, there's a candy company called Elmer's, and they make the gold brick eggs, which are fabulous. I'd kill for one right now. And we went shopping in New Orleans and went to DH Homes on Canal Street to eat, and they made gold brick sundaes, and my mother had told me that if I ate my lunch ate a good lunch, I could have a gold brick sundae. Well, my cousin, who was older, I don't know whether she was in high school or college, I think she was in college. She said, oh no, she said, told my mother, she said, I can't have a gold brick Sunday because that's against, I gave up chocolate for Lent. And my mother said, sweetie, it's okay. If you want a gold brick, I want Sunday, I won't tell anybody. I mean, my mother convinced her that you didn't give up things. That by this time she was explaining to Lent and the fact that you drew closer to the Lord. And my cousin was like, but if Mama finds out, and she says, honey, do you think I would tell on you? She said, oh, thank you, thank you. I'm dying for one.
Yeah, I gave up dessert for Lent. Well, when I lived in Durham, so
You gave up dessert.
I gave up dessert.
How'd that go for you?
Yeah, I have a difficult time with Lent personally, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
just the idea, oh wow.
I think the penitence of Lent, I've always, I think I misread it a lot. That I'm so Presbyterian that I'm sinful through and through, so.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trouble with resurrection, by that.
Yeah.
It's coming, it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you do too. Right?
Oh, yeah, big time. But, you know, I'm Methodist, cradle Methodist, and I'm old enough that in the early part of my childhood, we were not a liturgically renewed church yet. So, on the whole notion of things like Lent and Lenten practices didn't really come until I was older. But everybody in my school was Catholic, and most of them were giving up chocolate. And I totally didn't understand that until a lot later. When I thought, oh, I get it, you go through that line. And the chocolate is there and you make a decision not to, and that's a reminder of who you are. And it became much more meaningful.
Liz, I remember something that you did during that was very inspiring for me, and I think you referenced it in the chapter. You called me one morning, just unexpectedly, a couple of years ago, just saying that you were just checking in. I remember that you were doing that during Lent, just taking on friends and having conversations that you might not have other times. And another friend wrote me a note and said she was just writing notes to people she cared about. And that's so mean.
That's not a thing that really makes me, but, and I started it, last week I started it. And I also do a lot of people I don't see on a regular basis, friends around the country. Where I start, and then sometimes might be more. So, I think those kind of things, I would call a practice that you do with intention and, unlike you all, I thought I'd do kind of. I try to think about it as a way of moving through to the end for Holy Week and having taken some time, because time is like still our most precious thing we have, to be intentional about something.
I was just gonna say that growing up as an Episcopalian, I think I remember it was more that you did try to give up something. But then as an adult, I sometimes do that, but then I also, it's more me trying to spend more time reading scripture, reflecting, that sort of thing. But it was interesting, just this past Sunday, our rector in his sermon said something to the effect of what you were saying, is that it's not so much just giving, not to just focus on giving up, but what we can do for the person during this time, adding to as opposed to just
Well, I don't do much for others, but. What, every Lent since I've been Episcopalian since 1982,
I was born and raised in the Southern Baptist Church, so we didn't really do it. My grandmother would always do something, but it wasn't a practice that I was really aware of. I try to take on, an intentional quiet time every single day. I mean, that's my number one goal in life, as it is. And I'm not consistent. And I'm really praying this year that I will be consistent and moving toward that. Not at this point.
I think my Durham church was filled with characters. I mean, just characters. And I had a guy who grew up in Baltimore, a Catholic neighborhood, was the only Presbyterian, and he was raised by Catholics. I mean, this is, and at a last Wednesday service, he literally picketed in front of the church.
Well, sounds like you didn't think that.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah, it's just a little too close to Catholicism.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, let's begin looking at their Bibles on the table, and I'm thinking about the paths that we take in life, and sometimes the paths that we choose take a very different turn. Sometimes we are headed one way, and then it happens, and we totally go another way. And this is illustrated beautifully in Psalm 25. It's read on the first Sunday in Lent in one of our 3 years, and it says that the psalm is attributed to David in a time in his life when he was asking for guidance and deliverance. Well, Lord knows, David did need David did need some forgiveness for his life. One of the things that you're going to see, and I've written about it in the book, is that most of the Psalms are not written by David. In fact, scholars are very clear that probably none of them are written by David, but editors assigned them to David to go at appropriate points in his life. So you can remember the little Bathsheba incident. So, when he's confessing, they assign that one, Yeah. So this one, he was asking for some guidance and deliverance, and it has a very simple form. So I'm going to need somebody to read verses 1 to 3. Somebody. Thank you. And somebody then to read 4 to 15. It's a long one. Thank you. And then 16 to 21. Donovan. Jack will. Okay. All right. So there's a simple form with these, and the beginning are verses 1 through 3, then the large middle section of David's prayer to God, and the conclusion then. And as you're listening, and why don't we pause after each section, and let's just talk for a few minutes about each section about what do you hear David asking for from God, okay? What do you hear David asking for from God? So 1 to 3, Jackie.
To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Do not let me be put to shame. Do not let my enemies exalt over me. Do not let those who wait for you be put to shame, but let them be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous.
So what is David asking for here?
He realizes it's pretty bad.
Yeah. I can repeat 3 times that one, one thing, you see them repeated like 3 times, are a really important point here. We've got it, be put to shame. Don't be put to shame. Don't let anyone keep you. So it got much larger than just himself. What?
I mean, it's you be God. I'm here first.
Yeah.
Now you need to show up.
Yeah, show up. Yeah. But he also, my God, I trust you. So even with concludes there, there's a statement of trust. That's one of the things you notice about the Psalms in the midst of pain, or in the midst of rehearsal of all the things that are going on, the laments, so to speak. Look for the words of confidence and faith. That can almost like an affirmation. Okay, so let's see. Maybe it's your next.
Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all day long. Be mindful of your mercy, O Lord, and of your steadfast love, for they have been from the beginning. Do not remember the sins of my youth, or my sins of my life. According to your steadfast love, create them for me. For your goodness' sake, Amen. Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore he instructs sinners in the way. He leads the all the paths of faith for those who keep his covenant and his decrees. For your name's sake, O Lord, pardon my guilt, for it is great. Who are they that fear the Lord? He will teach them the way that they should choose. They will abide in prosperity, and their children shall possess the land. The friendship of the Lord is for those who fear him. He makes his covenant known to them. My eyes are ever toward the Lord, for he will plumb my feet out of the net.
Show me, teach me, instruct me.
Forgive me.
Read, 14 again.
The friendship of the Lord is for those who fear him. He makes his covenant known to them.
That particular wording is inconsistent. RSV, NRSV. I'm reading out of English Bible and the Lord counsel those who find him. I've never thought about friendship. Friendship.
The very Jewish tradition. Friendship with God. Your willingness to yell at God, to praise God, to curse God, to tell God how much you hate God, and then to tell God how much you love him.
Yeah, so it's all there.
It's like Tevye.
Yeah, God's not too fragile to hear those things.
Because God's the one to trust.
Yeah, it's trusting.
I taught for years for more than 10 months in the faculty in the in Chicago, Sarah Tansler, and Jim Testament scholar. And she would, always when we come to our worship, and she would notice, well, Liz, what are Presbyterians? Why does the lectionary, she said, why does lectionary drop out in a song? Yeah, like when the dog is going after my stomach and, the hard part, there's the middle of the song. What? They just drop out that part. I mean, y'all don't get the whole song. I said, no. So to your point, for her, it's that reality of everything you say. Okay.
It's a teach me your paths, and I was just thinking about, times when I've been on like a mountain hike and, either the path wears out, or you're trying to find where it went to. And I wonder whether teaching paths, it was just a way of getting around in ancient Near East. I mean, just, in life. And think of paths of God.
I've been spending the last 3 Saturdays watching wrestling.
Wonderful.
Wrestling.
You can do that.
I love my nephews, and I had a hard time watching them when they wrestle. But now one of them is an assistant wrestling coach. Remember also Jackie? Jackie Carter. Yeah, that's right. He's now an assistant wrestling coach for high school. And so I go, when they say, well, who are you and why are you here? Well, I'm not anybody's grandmother, but I am Coach Sheep's Probably my mother teacher, my mother coach, you know, like this, like one, you know, yeah, I don't know anyway. But I've been watching it because, it was, I still have it, this never ends, you know, there's sectional and they're regional and it's state, and they can't go to state, which is pretty good. But I was watching these kids and one of the coaches is family coach. Everybody's there, and then the kid resting on one of the mats, all the players are there and party coming. And one kid in particular, I was, I'll get that, his dad died. Like sixth grade, I've also been working with him since he was sixth grade, and I'm a student, he medals and in the weight class, and the coach was across the street and kind of took me in and said, why don't you listen to me? And it's pretty young, and they should be having their mom talk to them. And his mother's out there every day he can. And he wrestles, and he's a scholar, athlete, he's playing for last minute. And I'm thinking about the path that could have been, when I was teaching youth ministry, a lot of them were called speaking. And I got tired of both. We used to, what's my words, it was just, I don't know, I got the concept, and so I stopped signing the book, but the thesis is that every community is 5 people outside of their parents, the model what the model of play. And I'm thinking paths that we offer. So important that we offer them, you know, to those we teach children to for young adults in our community, or like you, Janet, with your granddaughters, you know, and they see a path in Carson that shows them, and as one of them shows, leave go to college and find her own path. They just deep breath and you say a really long prayer, right? So the paths that we take, and like you said, so sometimes we're following something and, you know, I end up learning something. The last verses, who's in them? Yeah.
I'm using CEV,
Okay.
so it'll be different translation, so people can see the difference.
Sure.
Turn to me, God, and have mercy on me, because I'm alone and suffering. My heart's troubles keep getting bigger. Set me free from my distress. Look at my suffering and trouble. Forgive all my sins. Look at how many enemies I have and how violently they hate me. Please protect me, deliver me. Don't let me be put to shame, because I take refuge in you. Let integrity and virtue guard me, because I hope in you. Please, God, save Israel from all its troubles.
Doesn't that sound like a little editor plopped in an ending or something? It just,
I'm sure.
yeah, I mean, all that sudden we get, what do you think about the larger community there? Yeah, it just seems like an add-on, you know. What's going on here in these verses?
He's still overwhelmed with his own shame.
Yeah.
I would say.
Do y'all think the Hebrew letters are the sign? Do you notice the Hebrew letters? I think the Hebrew letters, in mine, there's a Hebrew letter inside every verse, so if you cross it, which begins with olive. That's worse. I don't know.
Oh, good.
You know, no. And so you prefer that edition? Common Bible? Oh. I use it a lot because, I work on it. It's very similar to this. But it is my crossing, and some, study Bible would have the, Hebrew letter, so every version begins with that letter. So here he is still asking, he's still ashamed that he said Barney is still young at that. William Belger and Walter Brigham did a commentary on the psalm, and they talked about 5 themes It's not five things that are going on. And at first, as you already noted, he's in a critical situation. He's concerned that the medical stands and things that child stress. It could be a really difficult time of life. We have this difficulty, another 70 describes it, like, waits for God. And it's not a passive way, he's confident that in his waiting, God will not abandon him. So it's a critical situation, but a second thing is hope. David affirms God's steadfast love. God's has said, God's steadfast love is there. Faithful love. CEB translates steadfast love as faithful love. Not interesting. It's a little bit different. And David affirms God's mercy and asks God to remember him with faithful love, steadfast love. And don't remember the past sins. And the description of God's paths, that one of has been faithfulness.
I like the word you use, friendship.
Friendship with God. Yeah. God's faithfulness, and exactly, Debbie, in verse 14, the covenant relationship is described intimately as God's friendship. I just have never worked with that. I guess I sit so much with common English. Good reason to compare translation. As friendship. Then, so a critical situation, hope, God's faithfulness, and a fourth theme is David's confession of sin, which he does repeatedly in verse 7, verse 8, verse 11, verse 18. And he has continued to fail, but he always asks God's forgiveness. And then the last theme is the way that David balances the failures or the sins in his life with his faith in God's love, God's mercy, forgiveness. And asking God to turn to me and be gracious to me. For I'm lonely and afflicted. Part of this commentary said, the poet desires to be free from the narrow space. Instead of a narrow space instead of no larger. One of the things I wanted in this book was some art, and because when they publish books like this, they aren't too expensive. So I worked with a digital artist in California, and these are available downloads on their website. So you've got in front of you, I've got one, and we're going to look at some different translations of that phrase from verse 4 and verse 8 and 9, from three different translations and one paraphrase, and Lee is her name, and so she read my chapter, and I'm not playing knitting, so I love what she did for the yard, and a path, and as we enter this season of Lent, oops, this is kind of looks like a labyrinth. And I think it's for me, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the other side. Let's look at these. Let's somebody read. Somebody read the first one, and then somebody else read the second one. And so Robert Alter, anybody? You know Robert Alter? He's an English professor, but he's on a whole translation of the Bible. I just found him like when I was working on it 2 years ago. I participated in a group design of our vast and online regional wisdom literature 2 years ago, and somebody was talking about Robert Alter. I was obsessed. How did I not know about that translation of the Bible? And so he really interested in how it's written. And this, I'll read the first one, then somebody else can read. So this is just these verses 4 and verses 8 and 9. So as we hear them read, think of, and then go back and look at them, think about which one kind of speaks to you. So your ways are Lord inform me, your paths instruct me. Really my God is the Lord, therefore he guides offenders on the way, he leads the lowly in justice, teaches the lowly.
Make your ways known to me, Lord. Teach me your paths. The Lord is good and does the right thing. He teaches sinners which way they should go. God guides the weak to justice, teaching them his way.
Now, Pamela Greenberg is, it's a lovely little book. So that was about after we were doing the big songs. She translated originally from the Hebrew. She published in the language and, God, so she doesn't know she, because they all come down to the bottom of the
Your roads, God, let me know them. Your pathways, help me recognize them from the rest. You are gentle and straightforward, guiding those who stray on the path, leading the humble to walk in justice, teaching and ruling the holy road.
And then just to throw in on paraphrase, sometimes I like it does, and it's always interesting to throw it into the lyrics. Jen, if you want to-
Show me how you work, God. School me in your ways. God is fair and just. He corrects the misdirected, sends them in the right direction. He gives the rejects his hand and leads them step by step.
We got it.
Verse 4 and 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Those who have clean hands and pure hearts, who do not lift up their souls to what is false, and
No,
do not.
Sorry, 24. I was just about to say this.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, that makes sense. All right, okay, one more time, I'm sorry. Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. For you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long. 89. Good and upright is the Lord, therefore he instructs sinners in the way. He leads the humble in what is right and teaches the humble his way.
That's really the entry of a humble. Notice the lovely, God, God guides the weak, justice, God those who stray the path, corrects the misdirected. Are you drawn to one of more, what do you notice?
Well, I don't like to give the rejects his hand. That's so harsh. Under.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love the receiving.
But the other half of Peter's I kind of like, he corrects the misdirected. That doesn't sound like it's entirely their fault. They got misdirected. Rejects, I was never trying to read. I hear you.
But I wonder if part of that is not that God rejects, but that they have been rejected, they're considered rejects. So God, it's a mistake. Yes, but I'd say.
I just had a thought, but as you said that maybe if I were translating it, he gives the shame ones. Because this psalmist does not want everybody to know whatever it is he or she did. Yeah. That's what shame is.
What verse is that?
She was talking about, I was talking about eight, produces corrected, gives a, we suggesting gives the ones who feel shame, isn't it? Who've been shamed, who've been shamed, will feel shame, yeah. Which in Asian cultures, that's the worst. Yeah, you're right. But you know, the RSV here leads the humble.
Hebrew is the sin, or sin,
Well,
the sinful.
wrongdoing. What do you think about, Pamela Greenberg's? I think I like it. So what is the holy word?
I've been thinking a lot about that. This, and how I used to think as a young person that I just pulled everything together. I just got all these missing pieces in my life and just straighten myself out. There would be the straight and you know, and that was such a misunderstanding. And you know, I was a Baptist child who rededicated my life. I felt ashamed about everything. Not very existence on the planet. But it's so comforting to think about a gentle guide, and an ever-present, loving friend. And that's so different from the way that as a younger person thought.
I think that comes from that perspective.
Well,
My experience.
Well, it's maybe one, I actually have really positive experiences with two of the three churches. When I was a, early teen, seventh to ninth grade, in a church where there was a lot of shame. And so I was easily ashamed, so it worked really well for me.
I never felt, the grace of God, so I love it. And I'm thankful for my Baptist heritage because of the learning, but, I've never felt that I measured in leadership.
Thinking about it. I've spent a lot of sabbatical time in the woods and fishing and all that kind of stuff, and how important the trail, the path is. I mean, the path lets you know somebody's been there before and that you're going the right way. And when that moment you lose it, how there is a little crisis moment. But you are thankful for those who have made the path. You don't have to figure it out. It's been done for you.
Part of the green page.
Yeah, right.
You're looking for, and you can't find it. Yeah. There it is, they're lost.
Never really occurred to me that path and what everybody else has done before you makes sense.
When you think about the path of your own life, are there people that stand out for you as ones who helped you find the path that you've been on?
My grandmother raised me, and I know that I would not be able to go if she didn't. So,
Think of our church in Milwaukee as blazing a trail of understanding for us when Hugo was 16 and told us he was gay, and we knew all these wonderful people in that congregation, and we had no knowledge, or we had preconceived stereotypical ideas about that, and that just changed, that changed our lives, knowing those people first and having that experience with you.
Oh, yeah. When did you saw it? Yes, you cannot. Finish the baptizing. It's not wrong. Yeah. Yes.
There's a nun and the Sisters of Loretta, which is very important to me and to a number of people in the church that I spent most of my time in Nashville. And I learned from her this sense of humbleness, and a willingness. Both of those words strike me, and she was in a very open way, humble, but she would listen to what anyone said. And then she had a word to say that was also helpful and guiding. And it was that rare combination of humbleness and willingness and guiding that was sort of all together in the way in which she approached everyone she met. It was always a good experience to spend the weekend with her.
Was she listening?
Well, she did.
There were two ladies in my life. One when I was young, and then one when I was a senior in high school. My maternal grandmother taught girls Sunday school in the Baptist church. And she would spend the many miles before interstate between here and Baton Rouge, teaching me when I was young, the Bible stories. And then as I became older, she would teach me all the scriptures. Therefore, when I entered all these things at the Baptist church where you had to know your scriptures, I already knew them. It came easy to me. I mean, you know, and of course I was very, very much hated because of that. But anyway, my mother and father both finally told everybody off about it, you know. Hey, you know, this is how we kept her. I mean, you know, it wasn't so much entertaining, it was teaching. Then I had the privilege of having, and some of you all may have known her, and some of you might not have known her, Martha Overholser Hammond. She was the first woman elder here at Westminster and in the Middle Tennessee Presbytery. A brilliant woman. And she taught, not only did she teach you English and all that stuff, but she tied the poems and the literature that you were studying back to Christianity and to the Bible. She could tell you more. The year I was a senior, the spring I was a senior in March, one of the girls in my class was killed in an automobile wreck. 2.5 months before graduation probably. And it really hit us all hard. And Martha wrote a poem dedicated to this young lady. But she also helped us in coping with this tragedy and death. She was absolutely one of the most brilliant women you would have ever met, and had suffered so much in her life. Her first husband died real young. She had to take care of her daughters, and then she decided after her daughters were grown and in college themselves to go back to Peabody and get a master's. And that's when she married Dr. Hughes. Now, I can't remember, she got her, not her master's, excuse me, her PhD. She got her PhD the year I was a junior, so that when I was a senior, I was one of the first classes that had her with her PhD. I can't remember now how long Dr. Hughes actually lived. And then she married a good friend of my mother's, Dr. Glenn Hammond. That's when she did not join Woodmont Christian Church, but she went to Woodmont Christian with her husband, Dr. Hammond, and taught there. I know a lot of people have talked about my mother's contemporaries, or my mother's, and some of the people that I know still at Woodmont Christian talk about Martha teaching Bible study and Sunday school there. Then she came back to Westminster and taught again before she became too ill. But she had a mind like nobody else, but such a stalwart Christian lady, and strong in her belief that, I think that, I remember even coming to a Sunday school or Bible study group that she led here at the church after I was grown and married and had a kid. I mean, that's how much I loved her. My mother told me she was coming. I said, good, I'm coming too. She said, well, you may be the youngest person in the class. I said, do I really care? I said, of course not, but she was fabulous.
So the church, many people in our church lives. Grandmothers. Anybody else?
I worked up in rural Maine before, and the guy I worked with told me that common sense is not something that's born and taught. And that made a huge impact. Yeah, I mean, that people, I just thought people knew, but you don't, you learn it. And on with the folks in rural Maine, nobody helped them educate them with simple things that if something leaks, you think it's the leak, but you don't know that because nobody tells you to do that, It's just, I needed that so much. I was in seminary. I was doing a video series. I worked in 2 churches, preached in 2 churches, and did a video series for the seminary. And just interviewing folks in Maine about faith and life and culture. I was Carl Jury's, he was in Maine. I remember taking up. There were 2 sisters whose father just died, and they built a little house in the middle of nowhere. And we walked back from visiting them. Said, that is the biggest TV I've ever seen. And Carl said, these people have nothing, and you want to take that away too. Humble myself, oh Lord.
One person really is was able to have a real relationship. And I was talking about freedom. And what about the word of God? What about yeah, I mean, I didn't pretty school, but finally he said, just keep going.
Okay. You have to learn common sense. Another one is. Well, I'm gonna invite you to think about as we move through these times, these weeks of Lent, maybe this week, you think about that, you know, on these important people that you learn from, in the path that you've taken. Start with the line, whatever spiritual practice works for you. Each of the chapters ends with, spiritual practice and kind of different ones. And this one, I'm suggesting that maybe you might try to walk in line. We don't have that.
There's human spirit.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's very, so there's some like really have one out.
St. Anne's Episcopal over there on Woodland Street, where their their sanctuary used to stand before that tornado in 94. Yeah, 94, I believe. I'm doing it correctly. No, 96 or 7. When that sanctuary was destroyed, they put a labyrinth where the sanctuary once stood, and it's built out of a lot of the stained glass that was used in that church. It's really beautiful. I went out there to see it.
Well, some people aren't on the walking weapons, others are not. I offer it, but I also think that walking this week, weather's gonna be really nice. And Pam, you know, Pam, I see Pam did that the same. Pam, I had one dog, When I walk my dog Daisy, it is a time for me of connecting with nature and prayer.
It's not for me.
I'm gonna get away with this. She's got all she can handle, which they're all connected, and him is like this, you know. As a friend, as you walk this week, try to shut off the noises in your head, all the distractions, take a deep breath. And as you begin to see when I think about the people who've been important in your own past, the way your life has gone, name them as you walk. Are the people who you know are searching for right paths in life. You may know someone who's abandoned the path of faith in which they were raised, and some of you are here, you know. But you found their place. Maybe there are others that you know that are still searching. You know, the term I hear a lot now, ex-evangelicals. Ex-evangelicals, people who have been shamed, beat up, not welcome, divorce, or when their daughter got pregnant, or whatever, and shame. And I don't want that church anymore. I don't want something. I think a lot of those are being drawn by Diana and she does a lot. I think a lot of them find their way because she's also has been herself. And I think there are people you may know who are also searching. Difficult things happen in life, and sometimes happen, and that's our tragedies. Sometimes people blame God for those. I'm sure see it. And places that pastures that we find people that they're lost, you know. A lot of times our funerals and deaths. Weddings happen to be some of those difficult moments too. You never know. So think about name these people that you think about that you're praying for. And as you close your time each day this week, the Psalm 25:4, make your ways known to me, Lord, teach me. What are the spiritual practices that come up in another chapter in the breath? Say in one breath, and that's the one you can say in one breath. Make your ways known to me, Lord, teach me. The poet, I love Wendell Berry, trying to share some other that too that I go to all the time. Wendell Berry and Mary Oliver. Wendell Berry, agronomist, novelist, poet, and one of the wonderful practice he has. His books, his saddle poems, I guess you could really goes out and walks and writes up. One of these is in his book, Timber Choir. I remember the first time I was working before the Presbyterian Church, and John Buchanan was a preacher at the time. By the time he came to the first reserve, he'd already adjusted the New York Times. And wasn't that in the sermon, and there were I've never seen anybody preach like that. Nobody should have can, he did, but he would have privilege woman in, and my friends and I would all be in front of those, but we buy that one. They had for the first time he read Wendell Berry to the choir, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of that Berry. And that still isn't alive in Kentucky. There's a day when the road neither comes nor goes, and the way is not a way. That place. There's a day when the road neither comes nor goes, and the way is not a way. I look forward to being with you next week. We're going to move on, and we're going to be looking at chapter 2 and faces, Psalm 27 faces. I'm flying to Michigan tomorrow not illegal, right? It's not, the women's retreat that, in Holland, wants to do, that's the one. That chapter. With them and think about, who is, praise God and who is that God seeing that we don't see. How pleasant is it for him. God, no matter how busy things get, help us remember to rest. Remind us that time alone is necessary. Peace. Fine. That's the range. Thank you so much for being here. Girl, we just finished that. So I didn't do for this. Wednesday night, right? No, we did. Oh.
I mean, she knows basics. Section 5.
Oh, that's.
Like theory, which I'm putting up.
Anything goes to the bottom.
I'm feeling very, very like I am
There, straight out of past my rise.
Church.
I've got way too many projects.
Donovan.
Yeah.
Are you responsible for taking these books back to the office?
It can be.
Okay, well, I'm going